When I first saw this strobe walking around the booth of WPPI, I like you was really intrigued. The Neewer Q4 with a square-ish shape is by far the most eye-catching strobe I've seen in the market, and at a low price of $429, it made me really curious. I asked Neewer for a copy, and they nicely sent me one for review. Now that I have your attention, is Neewer now a serious contender in the outdoor flash world? And the question that's probably burning in your mind is, why is it considered an outdoor flash only? Why is it square? Let's talk about that, a real-world test, and also two important things you have to know about this flash before buying one. And also, full disclosure, we were not compensated for this review, nor did Neewer add any visibility over the final video before you saw it. We did request a copy of the Q4, which we did not pay for. So like you, my history with Neewer goes back pretty far. Neewer is a brand I turned to when I went to purchase good grip accessories, like reflectors, light stands, and even video monitors. The same affordable concept can be applied to the Neewer Q4 400-watt strobe. At the price of $429 US or 579 Canadian dollars, the Q4 Lite is $220 less expensive than its Godox competition, the 8400 Pro. $220 is an insane price difference, but is less expensive worth it compared to the 8400 Pro, which is considered one of the best pound-for-pound light in the market? Let's test it out. Like any good strobe, the Neewer Q4 has a lot of features, such as the Neewer Q4 is a balanced mount light, which means it can take all of your Godox accessories without missing a beat. TTL functionality, high-speed sync, up to 1/8,000th of a second, a wireless built-in receiver, and is also battery-powered, of course. And speaking of batteries, the Q4 is powered by a 21.6-volt lithium battery that delivers 380 to 400 full power flashes. The counterpart, which is the Godox 8400 Pro, promises similar results with 390 full power flashes. And those flashes come with all the bells and whistles like multi-mode, mask mode, manual, and TTL functionality. And while we're touching lights and functionality, the Neewer Q4 30-watt modeling lamp promises to be slightly better than the Godox 8400 Pro, with a CRI rating of 95 versus 93. And this is all being significantly cooler at a sunlight temperature of 5600K. Is this a major difference? At this point, it's a personal preference, but I do tend to give points to the Q4 because I find 5600K more useful. All that is nice though, but what about the form factor? Well, this is where the Neewer becomes really interesting. The Neewer Q4 package is lighter than the Godox 8400 Pro. When we compare the weight of the 8400 Pro against the Q4 weighs 209 grams less than the 8400 Pro, and that's probably due to its new shape or form factor, while being more compact and feeling more robust with its die-casted ADC12 aluminum oil. I've dropped my 8400 Pro in the past, and I wouldn't do it again. Again, it's difficult to describe over YouTube because it can't touch you, but the Q4 does feel like a premium aluminum, hence why the Q4 is probably tougher for outside conditions because it's made for outdoors. And on the subject of handling and actually build quality, this is significant for people that would like to use this inside a studio. The ability of the Q4 to be in tight spaces to its flat profile gives it a huge edge. But stay a bit longer if you'd like to use the Q4 for studio work. It's something critical you need to know about the Q4, and we'll talk about this later. And while on really good things about the Q4, this is something I never knew I needed, which is a top handle bar grip. The handlebar on top of the unit definitely was a smart idea. The bar makes it really easy to carry, even with a modifier attached to it. Proof is here. I've asked the rep where this particular idea or choice of design come from, and he responded with this. Most of the flashes available on the market have a carrying handle on the rear of the light, which is unreasonable design in terms of ergonomics. The rear handle design results in awkward points of contact with the accessories and the light when using large attachments. In order to avoid impact, the photographer has to use both hands to carry the light and accessories assembly, which is awkward and counterintuitive. The top handle design solves that problem. Also paired with the top grip, one thing that the Q4 absolutely has over the 8400 Pro is the bottom grip. The original droopy head from the 8400 Pro had me frustrated in many cases, and more than once during my assignments. The Q4 removable grip feels great with its light rubber texture and actually has dents that holds the flash in place. The hand grip also allows for an umbrella shaft to be placed in, but not attached directly to the strobe, so if you don't like it, I'm sorry, it's the way it is. Therefore, I can totally see an assistant using this as a hand grip versus a Godox, which again was terrible, although it was fixed in later versions. As you can see from this video, I can even use the bottom two fingers to handle the grip, even though I don't have huge hands. They're quite large, but not huge. The Neewer Q4 paired with the top handlebar and truly unlocks its outdoor capabilities, making your shoots a little more efficient and especially for your assistant. But if you shoot outdoors though, it's likely that you'll use this at its maximum power. Now, how fast is the Q4? For its recycling time, as you can see from the chart, at full power, the Neewer Q4 is slower by 0.3 seconds at its maximum power versus the Godox 8400 Pro. Now, is 0.3 seconds a deal breaker for you? That's up to you to decide, but in my case, not really. And when strictly talking about flash power, here on screen the power levels and differences. As you can see, maybe some of the design, maybe some new components, the actual Q4 has an edge over the 8400 Pro. And to control all of that power, and for the occasion you will want to control that power, this will be with this proprietary remote trigger, which is, by the way, great. It's hard to convey in camera, but this feels premium, which I've confirmed is built with PC ABS plastic alloy, which is a similar material used for your phones, which I can't find mine. Oh, there it is. This is not your weak plasticky thing that you can see from the export from Godox. Well, it has to be purchased separately for $65.99. The Q Pro trigger has 3 different compatible versions, which is one for Canon, Nikon, and of course Sony cameras. And also, something I haven't said is the way it locks in place is truly awesome. Over of the days that you have to twist a little knob that has half an inch of space, the Q Pro trigger uses a quick lock system. I really want to see that over at Godox. The power is also controlled via a turn wheel located at the side of the housing, so the pressure isn't on the hard shoe of the camera, but just on the unit itself. The trigger also allows for grouping and other modes that professional triggers do. It just functions. And to answer your burning question, although both systems are similar, you cannot use your Godox trigger to trigger a wireless receiver inside of the Q4. I've tried, and the opposite is also true. But all of these features, and it's $220 cheaper. Why? That's where we need to talk about the studio space. If you're observant, I haven't touched it on the color accuracy, something that is critical when shooting indoors. The Q4 brands itself as an outdoor flash, and there's a reason why. You see, if you take a look at the menu of the Godox 8400 Pro, you'll find an option called Color Mode. Color Mode is where the flash will try to remain within 75 Kelvin of 5600K with multiple successive strobes. The Q4 does not have this option, which means your flash color may vary by 200 Kelvin when strobing rapidly. To showcase this using a grid chart, you can see an on-screen example of plus to 200 minus K variation. And I believe this is where the Q4 had to cut some features in order to be that affordable without probably forgetting a smaller retailer margin. Also, during my testing, I don't think it affects the price per se, but I encountered an issue while measuring power levels. When I test for power, I make sure to go up and down every power level to make sure for accuracy. And for some odd reasons, the power levels at half power and at 1/28 power shifted by 1/3 of a stop. I'm not sure if it's because I have an alpha version of it or it is an update coming soon, but it's weird. Again, 1/3 of a stop is not a huge deal for an outdoor light, but it's something that needs to be addressed in the future. I've asked Neewer for additional comments on the power issue. I'll make sure to update the community post, so make sure to subscribe to Sharpen to be notified of any development if there's any. With all that said, how do we judge a light? To me, pricing is a huge factor. Yes, the Q4, it really looks like the 8400 Pro. We're not going to deny that. But at $429 and putting aside the power issue for the moment, can you really complain about having non-color stability, especially for an outdoor light? I mean, you basically get an 8400 quote-unquote non-pro for one of the lowest costs I've seen a strobe of that power. I use a Q4 outdoors and it worked as expected. The trigger was responsive, the flash didn't miss once, and the light was easy to use. And for those who even like to go minimalist with a lot of stuff, here are a couple of examples using only the provided reflector. In my opinion, the Q4 could be the cheapest point of entry of flash powerful enough to challenge a midday sun without the use of ND filters or hypersync. While I haven't used the entire family of Neewer flashes to see how they perform together, let me know in the comments if you're curious about this series. I have to say I'm quite pleased with this entry in our world of light. From the website, the Q4 is said to be compatible at the moment with a range of speedlights that you can see on screen. Also, the Q4 allows for newcomers and beginners to be able to use light without breaking the bank and also creating great work. The question that will remain though is, will they offer a path to scalability? So currently the Q4 system offers a USB-C plug for future upgrades. And this begs the question, we will see a fix with the color mode? Will they offer an AC solution like the 8400 Pro? Well, good news, you won't have to wait because I've asked those questions. What will happen with the Neewer lineup? Let's start with colors. Unfortunately, the Q4 hardware does not support color stability, so no luck for that. but it should be fixed in later model because a Q4 Pro is about to be announced. Also, in the future, an AC pack, or also known as a dummy battery, will be made for prolonged use of the Neewer Q4 if you like to use this indoors. Also, the lineup will be expanded with the Q4 Pro, as I said earlier, also the Q6 and the Q200, making the range very similar to the competition. Does this sound exciting? Let me know in the comments what you'd like to learn about this new affordable flash lineup. Neewer, as we all know them to be, is truly lowering the price of entry of photography for newcomers. With the Q4 original shape, superior construction, and a great trigger, it's actually worth it to take a look at it if you're in for a new light. I'm looking forward to seeing all the improvements that can be made to a new flash lineup while being more affordable. For more lighting discussions and fun stuff, make sure to follow all my socials at YvensB, and even on YouTube. Check me out here and follow Sharpen. YvensB out.